Welcome to the Hockey Writers Blackhawks Banter, a weekly show with our top Chicago Blackhawks writing crew, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From training camp to the playoffs, from Chelsea Dagger to the Madhouse on Madison, our team covers everything that happens with the Hawks. So get comfortable, grab a beverage. It's time for some Blackhawks Banter. Blackhawks Banter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 69 of Blackhawks Banter presented by the Hockey Writers. Get your giggles out of the way now. I know it's coming. Okay, glad we addressed that. I'm really excited because I am your host today, Brooke LaFerno, joined by my Blackhawks colleague, Gail Kauchuk. And this is an exciting episode because it's our St. Paddy's Day episode and our second crossover episode with the Boston Bruins. And Hannah Garfield here is our guest who writes for the Bruins at the Hockey Writers, and we're so excited she's here today. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. We have a lot to discuss, so let's get right into it. So, Hannah, so on our show, we'd like to talk about the week that was to start off when we talk about the Blackhawks. And when I was doing research, I saw that the Bruins are 8-1-1 in their last 10 games, including that 4-3 victory over the Blackhawks. On March 10th, I think that was. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you, what has led to this success recently?
Well, the Bruins have finally figured out how to get secondary scoring. For years, the issue with this team has been that, you have one of the best lines in hockey in Bergeron, Marchand, Pastrnak, and then nobody else can really be consistent enough to fully contribute. Since splitting up the top line and moving Pastrnak down to the second line to play with Taylor Hall and Eric Haula, it is finally clicked for the Bruins. They've been able to get depth scoring and get it consistently. If you look at their last week in their, last game against Arizona, their goal scorers were Craig Smith and Charlie Coyle. In their win against Chicago, their goal scorers were Coyle, Jack Can. I haven't figured out how to say his name yet because he's brand new, and Pastrnak. And then in their last loss, which was to Los Angeles last week, they lost, but their scores in that game were Trent Frederick and Craig Smith. So they're not being, you're spreading the wealth a little bit more, which is really taking some of the pressure off of Marchand and Bergeron. And just to put it into perspective, when I was looking, doing a little bit of research, Brad Marchand hasn't scored a goal since February 26th, and they're still winning games, which is insane because at the start of the season, that would have been unheard of. If Brad Marchand wasn't scoring, nobody on this team was scoring. So,
right.
And of course, goaltending has also been phenomenal with Jeremy Swayman. He hasn't lost a game since February 14th, so he's out a month now. So,
wow,
things are going right in Boston.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And it's funny you mentioned Brad Marchand because against the Blackhawks, I felt like he was looking for 10 goals in that game. It felt like every shift he could have had a goal and he didn't. So I know he's been playing well, even if it's not translating. So I thought that was interesting too. But yeah, they're definitely on a roll. We can see that. We saw that against the Blackhawks. They're on a roll. But Gail, yeah, right. But Gail so actually have the Blackhawks in their own way. I mean, they haven't been able to maintain a winning streak of any kind, but this last week has been interesting because it has been their best offensive performance of the season. They've scored 35 plus goals in their last 8 games, with their top 6 having a combined 48 points. And they scored 17 goals in their last 3 games. So, Gail, what do you make of this surge all of a sudden?
Well, I'll tell you what, it is all about that top line of DeBrincat, Dylan Strome, and Patrick Kane. You mentioned 35 goals in the last 8 games. 18 of those goals have been scored by either DeBrincat, Strome, or Kane. You attribute Strome 7 goals, Kane has 6 goals, and DeBrincat 5 goals. So this line is really, really clicking right now. They got great chemistry together, and it's really fun to see. They totally know how to score goals. They know where each other is on the ice. But one thing that I had mentioned previously is that eventually the better teams are going to figure this out. They're going to figure out how to shut down that top line. St. Louis Blues did it not too long ago. They actually held their own last week against the Bruins. This line did. They were pitted against the Bergeron line, and DeBrincat scored a goal, but the Bergeron line was held scoreless against them. So we'll see if that happens again this coming week. But if that top line is shut down, actually the second line of Brandon Hagel, Jonathan Toews, and Kirby Dach is kind of starting to come into their own and find their way. Last 8 games, so same last 8 games, Brandon Hagel 6 goals, Toews with 3, and Dach with 1. So it's been fun to kind of watch the Blackhawks as a whole just kind of find their groove in the scoring department, and I really hope it continues.
Yes, I agree with all of that. It's been fun to see a lot of things clicking, but it does make me mad a little bit. Like, where the heck was this the whole season? Where was this? And now they decided to perform before the trade deadline. They did this last year too. This is like a theme, but I don't really care because it's still fun either way. But I agree with that top line though with Patrick Kane and stuff, because you know what? When he cooks, the team cooks. And right now he's just cooking, feeding everyone. It's creating great chances. And also the bottom 6 has been impressive. Carpenter has been having good games.
2 goals.
Yeah. Sam Lafferty's been having really good games. And like you said, Kirby Dach has been having some good games here. So a lot of things, like you said, are clicking the right way. It's unfortunate that this didn't happen earlier, but like I said, it still makes for a fun end of the season. I still think so. Like I said, hope it continues. So next thing, we got to talk about the trade deadline. You guys know how much I love trades. I have to discuss it every time I host. You guys know this. But Hannah, I'm actually wanted to discuss this. We wanted to discuss this with you because Jake DeBrusk has asked for a trade, I think, before the start of the season. He's still not traded, but he might be by the trade deadline. And the Bruins, as of late, I know have been linked to Dylan Strome and Brandon Hagel at this point, even though they have different priorities at the trade deadline, the Hawks and the Bruins. They still could probably make some trades together. I don't know. We'll see. So I guess I wanted to ask you, what have you heard on the Jake DeBrusk front? And do you see a trade with the Blackhawks, maybe involving Hagel or Strome?
The Jake DeBrusk saga I thought this was going to get wrapped up back in January. He asked for a trade, months ago. And luckily, they didn't trade him months ago, because I think they can get much more for him now after this recent stretch than they could have back in January, when I remember reading that there was a potential trade in place for him to send him to the Oilers, which is where he's originally from, Edmonton, which would have made sense. But the Jake DeBrusk, I feel like every week is linked to a different team. So at the end of the day, I'm like, I have no clue where he's going to end up. I don't even know if they're going to, like, with how well he's been playing, maybe they hold on to him longer. I don't think they should. He is a restricted free agent at the end of the season. But I just don't know. With Jake DeBrusk at this point, with how well he's playing, I would love to see some sort of draft pick thrown in there. I wouldn't hate, getting a Brandon Hagel or a Dylan Strome, because obviously they're great players. I'm not convinced the Bruins can land Hagel. I just think that's going to be out of their price range, because I really think the Bruins need to hold on to their first round draft pick. And I think they can address some issues while still being able to hold on to it. So I don't know if Hagel would not necessarily work out in a deal. I wouldn't hate a Jake DeBrusk and Dylan Strome trade, but again, I would like to get some younger, like a prospect or a trade, or a draft pick out of Jake DeBrusk, just because the Bruins are so, I hate to say it, but they are very weak in their pipeline right now. There's not a lot of high profile prospects. There's not a lot of, there's just not a lot of talent that seems to be coming up yet. And I really think that should start to be a focus. So if they're going to trade a young forward like Jake DeBrusk, who's only 24, 25, they should be looking to go get, people that will help fill in that next generation as well.
I agree. Jake DeBrusk is interesting to me too. I thought that trade would happen, honestly, a couple weeks after he asked for it. It seemed kind of too good to be true in that way. But I think one of the first articles I wrote for the season was actually that the Hawks should trade Strome for DeBrusk. I thought that made too much sense. I think a lot of people thought that actually made almost too much sense. So it's not surprising that didn't happen, because it seemed too logical. I actually think that still could be a possibility. But like you said, I don't think it could be a 1-for-1 at this point. I think it would have to involve something else. And the Hawks pipeline is pretty weak too, so I don't think we can help each other there. But I think it could still be a possibility. Maybe even not Strome or Hagel for that matter. It could be, draft pick or something. But do think DeBrusk would be a fit on the Blackhawks for many different reasons. But like you said, it is interesting that he's still here. And that's kind of the fun part of this whole thing, because you can request a trade, doesn't mean you're going to get traded. So I think that'll be interesting also to see, especially during the next matchup, how that will look. But Gail, I'm going to turn my attention to you. Do you think that the Blackhawks should make someone like Jake DeBrusk a priority at the trade deadline, or should they turn their attention elsewhere? What do you want to see?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I just piggyback on kind of what you guys are saying. I actually do not think that acquiring Brusk really goes with, or DeBrusk, sorry, with the Blackhawks plan for a rebuild. He's due another contract coming up here. It currently makes $3.67 million, so they would have to pay him. And they're just trying to shed salary right now. So unless he comes with some other nice pieces, I just don't see this happening. And then you talk about Hagel and Strome. Hagel makes $1.5 million for the next 2 seasons. So he's a great asset on the ice. And unless there was a phenomenal return for him, I really think the Blackhawks are looking to keep him as part of their rebuild. And Strome, now we know, works so well with DeBrincat and Kane. And he's also a center. And you can never have enough depth down the center. And so I would rather actually see the Blackhawks use their cap money to give Dylan Strome his $3.6 million qualifying offer instead of investing that money in someone like DeBrusk.
I agree with that. I think maybe at the start of the season, someone like DeBrusk would probably have been more of maybe a priority in that sense. I still think it could be logical to get him, but I think it was maybe more dire in the beginning of the season, especially when Strome wasn't producing and stuff, but now he is.
Right.
So there's a bit of a conundrum there. We don't know if he will be here by the deadline. That's a big question. I don't know what his future is, but they have options, and that's kind of nice to see. Even if it's not DeBrusk, they have options, but I see both sides of it. I truly do. I think this will be a really fun trade deadline, even if not for the Blackhawks, but for the Bruins too. Like Hannah said, you guys got options too. So we'll see.
Well, and let's get something going, right? Like, let's give some trades here. It just seems like it's taking forever for anything.
It is. And you know what? It's upsetting that we're not the GMs of the Hawks and the Bruins, because if it were, I'd be like, Hannah, calling you right now. Let's make something happen.
Yeah, there's so many names that seem to be available, and I feel like for some reason it's later this year.
It is. Yeah,
it is. Year. So it's taking so long. So the anticipation just building.
It is for sure.
That's for sure.
I'm like, I can't get here soon enough. I can't stand it. I need to see something here. But that brings us into our next topic. So we just talked about how the Hawks and Bruins faced each other, came right down to the wire. It was a pretty even game, I would say. For the Blackhawks is concerned, I thought they might get completely destroyed in that game. I was a little worried, but it ended up being a lot more even than I thought it would be. Came right down to the wire. So given the dress rehearsal there, I don't know if people are expecting the same result, or maybe they are in the rematch. So given what we saw, what are the keys to victory here? Gail, what's the key to beating the Bruins for the Blackhawks?
Well, I mentioned above or earlier that the good teams are going to find a way to shut down DeBrincat, Strome, and Kane. And so I believe that the other lines need to counter instead. Hagel, Tays, Dock line. Take advantage and maybe take advantage of some of their depth. You mentioned Ryan Carpenter and Sam Lafferty contributing lately. Caleb Jones, the defenseman, had 2 goals recently. So I think they're going to have to dig into their depth a little bit here to beat the Bruins. Defense, they're without Connor Murphy. As we know, he had that hit in the Senators game and is currently in concussion protocol. And he's a big part of the defense. So I think it's going to be all about the other 6 defensemen, the guys that are in there to pull together for a win. And finally, one more key, stay out of the box, because the Bruins scored 2 power play goals last week against Blackhawks. And, that obviously helped them lead them to a win. So hopefully they can stay out of the box.
Yes, I agree with all that. Hannah, what are the keys for the Bruins to repeat their victory against the Blackhawks?
I like, I'm going to copy Gail and say, like I talked about above, I really think that, they need to get Brad Marchand scoring again. He is the heart and soul of this team. He's hungry for a goal. He's still playing great, but if you can, get him scoring again, get him out of this drought, I think that will fire up this team. And that will also go a long way towards a win. I'd also like to just see they need to get the defense more involved in scoring. That's been an issue all season. It's I think our teams are just very similar right now.
Yeah, they actually are more similar than different, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are winning a whole lot more.
Yeah, they are. They are. Give it that.
Yeah. But I think, Charlie McAvoy is an absolute stud on defense. He's incredible. He's amazing. The one weak part of the defense is just getting more offensively inclined, getting more involved in the play. So I'd love to see some points out of the defense.
Yeah. I would say that is a key for the Blackhawks too. Their defense doesn't score a whole lot anyways, but I am kind of going to echo what you said. Stay out of the penalty box. That's where the Bruins hurt us last time, and they will continue to hurt us. The Blackhawks penalty kill is not good as it is, so it doesn't help when you're going against a top 10 power play in the league. But I'm also going to say goaltending here. Kevin Lankinen started, and although he had some good saves, he was a little bit shaky in that game. And Fleury has been kind of struggling a bit lately. Still great, but has been struggling a little bit lately. I don't know who's going to start that game, but goaltending has to be sharp. There's just no other option. Like you said, if you guys have Marchand, he can turn it on at any moment, and Pasternak and Bergeron, there's just too many threats. There has to be some type of save there if they're going to win. So my thing is goaltending and staying out of the box for sure. If they can do that, they have a chance for sure. Which brings us, so we are halfway through the show. So if you are tuning in now, you are watching Blackhawks Banter presented by the Hockey Writers. I am your host today, Brooke Laferno, joined by Gail Kowchuk and our guest, Hannah Garfield, who we are discussing all things Blackhawks and Bruins. And before we get into the next segment, I want to give a shout out to the Morning Skate newsletter presented by the Hockey Writers. It's a newsletter that will get sent to your email Monday through Friday, giving you all the latest around the NHL and hockey in general. It's content you cannot find anywhere else. All you have to do is go to morningskate.io, and the link will be in the description. Put in your email, and voila, that's it. You'll get the best hockey content there is. So be sure to check that out. It's a really great newsletter. You won't regret it. So that brings us into our next topic, which I, again, am really excited about. We're going to have fun with 17 seconds here, because we all know that both teams had their moments with 17 seconds. Obviously, the Blackhawks scored 2 goals in 17 seconds to win the Stanley Cup in 2013 against Boston. And now they had I'll take that. But obviously, Boston had their revenge on 17 seconds. They scored. David Pasternak scored with 17 seconds left in the game to defeat the Hawks 4-3. So, yay, Hannah. But I thought we should pick a scenario for the next game where either team is likely to score a goal in 17 seconds. So, Hannah, I want to start with you. What is the likelihood that the Bruins would score 17 seconds into the first period, power play, penalty kill, end of game, or other? What's the most likely scenario there?
Power play for sure. The Bruins are very slow to start in the first period, a lot of the time. So definitely power play.
Hard to disagree there. Gail, what is the likelihood of the Hawks scoring 17 seconds into the first period, power play, penalty kill, end of game, other? What's the most likely scenario?
Okay, so you just kind of made me think, and like I actually went and rewatched the 17 seconds from 2013 because I got so excited. So right, end of the game, let's do the same scenario. So Taves to Brandon Hagel for the goal, just like Taves was to Bickle for the goal in the original 17 seconds. And then after that, let's have Ryan Carpenter to Sam Lafferty for the game-winning goal, right? 2 underdogs, just like Marcus Kruger and Dave Golan were in 2013. That would be fun.
Yes, I agree. I would say actually end of game. I'll go end of game too, because like Hannah said, the Blackhawks don't start on time a lot of the time either. Their power play can either be hit or miss. The penalty kill obviously is not very good. So I think the most likely chance is end of game or with the extra attacker pulled goalie. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see if they get 17 seconds either way. Maybe both teams will this time. It'll be mayhem. That'd be super fun. I hope that happens.
Mayhem.
Yes, right. And now that's going to lead into our next segment. Because of the history between the Blackhawks and Bruins, we thought it'd be fun to play a game called Guess the Player. And Hannah, you're going to go first. We have two questions. We have two questions each. So guess the player. So the first question for you, Hannah, is which current Bruins forward named former Blackhawks legend Tony Amonte as his cousin?
That is Charlie Coyle, which is no surprise at all because I feel like that's the most because he's from Massachusetts, and that's the most Massachusetts thing to just like be like, oh yeah, I have a cousin who does that. I have a cousin there. Like, you know, like the box, like you guys get the Sam Adams commercial, like your cousin from Boston.
Oh,
yeah.
Put two and two together. That's awesome.
Yes, you are right. It is Charlie Coyle. I did not know that until I researched, and I was like, holy heck, this is actually really cool. He also is cousins with Bobby Sheehan, who played for the Blackhawks and the Red Wings too. So there's a big pipeline in Minnesota there. Good Lord. It seems like everyone's related to a hockey player. This is fun. But the second question for you is there's a current Bruins defenseman with 2 ties to Chicago. He was born here, and the Hawks heavily sought after him as a free agent in 2015 before he chose to sign with the Minnesota Wild. I'm still upset about this because he chose our division and not us, and that's upsetting. Who is it?
It's definitely Mike Riley because I think he's the only Bruin I know that's from the Midwest at the moment.
Yes, you are correct. It is Mike Riley. I don't know where his tie from being born in Chicago is from. I tried looking it up. It didn't really say what the tie there is, but either way, it's still cool. Yeah, like I said, he would be a nice addition. I wouldn't hate that as a trade option, but you know what?
We'll done much for the Bruins right now, so you can take him.
Oh, okay. Like I said, if we were GMs, like I said, I call you right now. Let's get something done.
It'd be great.
So good job. You're 2 for 2. Gail, you're next up. Who is the former Blackhawks goaltender from 2020 to 2021? He was just traded recently. That was originally drafted by Boston in the first round of the 2012 NHL draft.
Okay. The gig is up. I had no idea who this was, and Brooke gave us a bit of an outline right before the show, and so I looked it up really quick because I would have had no idea, but maybe you guys do. I know you guys are all trying to guess at home and stuff, but it's Malcolm Subban.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes, that's correct. And to be honest, I think most people probably assume he was drafted by the Vegas Golden Knights because that's where he came from, and he's still pretty young. So I honestly thought that too until I looked it up, and I was like, oh wait, he was actually from Boston originally, which is interesting. He didn't play very much for the Bruins, did he, Hannah?
No, I think he I want to say less than 20 games. He mainly played in Providence.
Yeah. He didn't play much for the Blackhawks either, but still interesting to see the connection there. And Gail, your second question is, which current Blackhawk was born in Boston as his dad played for the Boston Bruins?
I totally knew this one.
Yeah.
Connor Murphy right there.
Yes. Yes, his dad, Gord Murphy, did play for the Boston Bruins for a short while there. So that's kind of fun. And it seems like I just realized now that I put 2 players who I had born in there, but you know what, whatever.
That's okay.
It's still fun. You know what? Okay. So this is a free for all between Hannah and Gail. So whoever knows the answer, go for it. Who is the current Bruins forward that won a gold medal alongside Jonathan Toews for Team Canada at the World Juniors in 2007? It's not who you guys may be thinking of at first glance.
Oh, I was going to say our Lord and Savior, Patrice Bergeron, but not who I'm thinking.
It is him?
What? What did you say? Sorry.
Oh, I'm saying I really wanted to say Patrice Bergeron, but
I wanted to say Bergeron as well, but I don't think that's right, is it?
No, it's not right. That's why I said it's not your first guess. Yeah. And I was actually surprised about this one myself. Do you guys know?
Yeah, it's Brad Marchand.
Yeah, it's Brad Marchand.
Because if you think about right around that same age.
Yeah.
Top 2, but I thought it was Bergeron. I really did.
The old guys.
I looked up the roster actually, and Bergeron wasn't even on that roster, which I was kind of surprised. So Toews and Marchand were the only real true link there. But for the viewers watching, I actually have a picture of Jonathan Toews and Brad Marchand together at the World Juniors in 2007, which is amazing. And we can't show it here because YouTube has a weird copyright thing and it's kind of difficult. But I will tweet it after the game. You guys are going to want to see this. It is amazing. I laughed out loud when I saw it. So be sure to look.
To see young Marchand.
Yes. So be sure to look on our Twitter for that. I will let you guys know. And finally, which Hall of Fame player was traded from the Blackhawks to the Bruins in 1967? That's considered one of the worst trades in Blackhawks history, but it's also a trade that shaped the Bruins' golden era. Hint: he's the brother of another Blackhawks legend.
Phil Esposito.
Oh yeah, you got it right. Yes. Yes.
I did not know that one at all. I thought it was like Dennis Hall or one of the Halls, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that was that was a pretty bad trade. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you're welcome, Hannah, for that, but that was really bad. But at least he took one final. What was it? The one more shift with Tony Esposito with the Blackhawks. So that was good. That was good to see. But yeah, that was a really cool connection there too. And finally, to end our show, we're going to do the shootout round, and it's our St. Patrick's Day edition of the shootout round, and I'm kind of excited about it. Okay, so first question: who will score?
Got my Sharpie jersey on.
It's amazing. It's amazing. We love it.
You're so much more on theme than I am.
We tried. I don't know. This is just kind of all came together last minute, but you're totally fine, Hannah. You're great. So, who will score the first goal for the Hawks and the Bruins during the game? Gail, will score the first goal for the Hawks?
I had a hard time with this one, and I was kind of thinking I might go with, like a no name or, an underdog. But you want to know what? I think it's going to be Alex DeBrincat. That's a pretty easy pick, but pretty easy bet. But
Hannah, who is going to score the first goal for the Bruins?
I want to say Brad Marchand, but I've said his name too much so far, so I'll say David Pastrnak.
It's not a bad choice. Not a bad choice.
Not at all.
For the Blackhawks, I'm going to say Dylan Strome, only because every time I pick him not to be the first one to score, he does. So I'm saying it now. He's going to score.
Okay.
We'll see what happens there. Second round of the shootout. Who will get lucky during the Hawks and Bruins game with a win? What's the prediction of the final score for the Hawks and Bruins? Hannah, what's your prediction?
I do think the Bruins will win. I think they've been hot recently, so but I think it'll be close. I'm gonna say 3-2.
Ooh, Gail, what's your final prediction?
I think it's going to be really tough for the Blackhawks without Murphy. So I'm guessing that the Bruins are going to kind of want to stick it to the Blackhawks and say, you know what, that was a fluke this past time. We're better than you, and I think they probably will. So I'm going to say 6-3.
Ooh,
Bruins.
Okay. I had a hard time with this one too, because I actually do think it will be a lot closer too, because of the Hawks' kind of offensive firepower lately. I do think they will get 3 goals, only because that seems to be what they've been scoring a lot lately, is 3 goals. So I do think it'll be 3, and I can't say a win either. Without Connor Murphy, that's just tough, to be honest. So I might go 5-3 this time. Because, like I said, the Bruins can strike fast, and I do think it'll be a high-scoring game regardless, but I do see a Bruins win, unfortunately.
Oh, we're all predicting Bruins win. I hope not.
Yeah. And watch the Blackhawks win, because we all predicted it. Third round of the shootout. What is your favorite St. Patrick's Day tradition, Gail?
I love corned beef and cabbage. Can't wait to have some on Thursday.
Oh, so good. Hannah?
I'm the most un-Irish person, and I don't have any traditions. But this year, my friends and I are going to the parade in Southie on Sunday. So we'll see how that goes.
That should be fun.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day parades are always fun. And you know what? I'm gonna go hometown here and not say personal, because usually our tradition is corned beef too. But for something different, I will say the Chicago River being green, because I think that's a tradition that everyone, even if you're not from Chicago, looks forward to seeing, because it is the coolest spectacle ever. So I'm going to say that. It's my favorite. And like you said, Hannah, any St. Patrick's Day parade is fun too. They always go all out. I love it. And fourth round of the shootout. Pick 2 players to watch for the Hawks-Bruins game. Hannah, pick 2 players to watch for the Bruins.
Brad Marchand. For the reasons I've said, I think he's going to hopefully score. And Dylan Strome, because I think like you said, he's been playing phenomenal with Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat. And if you're a Bruins fan, you should be paying attention because I don't know if a trade will happen, but that's always a possibility.
Not bad picks at all, Gail.
That's kind of cool that you picked one Bruin and one Blackhawk.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna be nice. I thought that was
I like it though.
happening.
Such a nice guest. We should have her back again.
Yeah, I know.
All right,
She does so much love.
my two players to watch. I think Seth Jones is going to have a big game with Murphy out, and he played like over 26 minutes, I think, the last Bruins game. So he'll be somebody to watch. And I also think Patrick Kane will be somebody to watch because he's getting hot. He hasn't scored a whole lot he's been more with assists. So I'm maybe thinking a goal for Kaner.
Oh, I like that a lot actually. And I'm going to go Brandon Hagel because I know we like keep repeating names here, but you know what? It works. But you know what? He had 2 goals against the Bruins, and I think he's kind of just feeling it against them right now. I think he could make some noise again. And maybe for the Bruins, do you know what? I'm going to say Charlie Coyle, because that guy, even from the Wild, from when he was with the Wild, just demolished the Blackhawks. So I think he's a good bet too to watch. So I'll say that. But I think actually all players that we just mentioned will have an impact one way or the other. So I think these are really good picks. I'm proud. And finally, the last round of the shootout. Who is the first Irish player on the Hawks or Bruins that comes to mind? Gail?
Connor Murphy.
Yes. That's why Gail has his jersey here. It's the perfect St. Patty's Day episode segue. It's amazing. We love Connor Murphy. Hannah, who is the first one?
I'm assuming he's Irish because of his last name, but Mike Riley.
I thought that too. When I was thinking of players, I'm like, it might be Mike Riley that's Irish on the Bruins.
Or maybe is McAvoy also sounds kind of Irish, but
Ooh, it actually does. We should tweet him. Be like, hey, can you answer this question? Are you Irish? And I'm gonna go Patrick Kane because I know the Blackhawks like to make a big deal about the St. Patrick Kane's Day and stuff. And you know what? He's always a good option for, any holiday, pick Patrick Kane. It just works. It just does. That's just how it works. But that will conclude our show. Thank you so much for Gail and Hannah for joining us today. We had such a fun time. And for the viewers, she is actually recording in class. So this girl's dedication is like unmatched, and we love you for it. And
thank you out there to all your classmates for letting me kind of do this.
Hi to your professor and to everyone else that are there. But thank you so much again to our viewers for tuning in and being so supportive and leaving us such kind messages. Be sure to let us know how you did on the Guess the Player segment, your predictions for the game, and let us know if Charlie McAvoy is Irish if you can, because that's going to bug me. And my name is Brooke Laferno. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Go Hawks. And I know Hannah can say,
go Bruins.
Yeah. Good night, guys.